It's 6 o'clock. Do you want to get started?
Yes, I do. Okay, I think we have everybody here. Let's call the meeting to order. Welcome to City Council Business Meeting for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. Please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and to
and to the republic for which it
stands,
stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and
and justice for all. For all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Strawn,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon,
Present.
and President Restinetti.
Present.
That's all 7 here.
Great. Thank you. Next, we have approval of minutes. Councilman Scaringi.
Thank you, Madam President. I stand and ask for unanimous approval of the minutes from the May 19th, 2021 business meeting and the May 25th, 2021 and May 26th, 2021 special business meetings.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on into public comment. City residents are welcome to speak. You each have 5 minutes to discuss city issues. And I ask you to please be respectful. Mr. Clerk, could you please let everybody know how they can participate today?
Okay, so to participate in public comment, just click the raise hand button on the screen, and we will put you in the queue and allow you to speak.
Thank you.
So just click the raise hand button if you want to participate. And our first participant is Stephen Menz. I'll allow him to speak now.
Am I?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
We can
Yes,
hear you
we can
now.
hear you.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. So I'd like to address City Council about a problem that's not only a problem in the city of Binghamton, but it's throughout New York State and throughout the U.S., probably the whole world. But it's about neglected property. And last year, I sent in some proposals to several members of city government about how to address a very small aspect of neglected property. And I'm talking about the exterior of property. I'm not talking about the interior because I can't see the interior of my neighbor's property. I can only see the exterior. And when I drive through the city, I can't see the interior. I'm also not talking about the structural exterior of property. The type of neglect that I'm talking about is the most simple kind of property maintenance that any property owner can do, and it involves removal. It would be the removal of high grass, the removal of snow, and it would be the removal of garbage and litter. And I suspect, I don't know this for a fact. I mean, I'm outside of government, but it just seems to me that probably half the complaints that are generated by the public and half the violations that code enforcement has to deal with, I suspect are all just with these 3 low-level issues. And I did some math on this. I don't know how many code officers there are, but if there are 6 code officers and we pay them, or their package costs taxpayers $70,000 a year with benefits and everything, that's $420,000 a year that we pay our code officers. If 50% of the issues that they respond to are these low-level issues of removal that have nothing to do with structure or the interior, that's $210,000 a year that the taxpayers are paying to try to monitor. I also suspect that of that amount, probably 25% of those violations are due to property owners who actively neglect their property. They make a decision to not maintain their property. So I don't know how many members of the city council saw my proposal from last year, but I just want to read really quickly. My introduction was rental property owners who repeatedly neglect to maintain the exterior of their property as required by Binghamton City Code suffer no consequence for doing so generally, and yet the surrounding neighbors suffer greatly from the visual and financial degradation of their neighborhood, not to mention the potential risk to public health and safety. Additionally, the city expends significant resources and personnel to address this persistent problem. These owners are invariably absentee. They are indifferent to the harm they cause and feel no urgency to remedy their deficiency because they don't live in their rental property. And finally, the process to remedy repeat violations is frustratingly long, up to 17 days, for example, in the case of high grass, because of limited resources in code enforcement, and also a cumbersome notification process. And at a particular note, I just want to say neglect is not passive. Neglected property actively harms neighbors on a daily and hourly basis, and it actively drains scarce city resources to respond to the issue. Also, I would like to say that neglect is a choice. Owners who neglect their property actively choose to do so. So my situation is, my business is located at 165 Susquehanna Street in District 4 with Councilmember Friedman. And I live in District 2 near Councilmember Resinetti. And I'll give you an example of.
Sir, you have 1 minute left.
Oh, boy. Well, anyway, I'm hoping that Councilmember Friedman can share a couple of videos with other council members that I sent to her of property next to my property that shows the neglect. I was hoping that I'd be able to have an opportunity to present more information to City Council about these ideas, because I've got a response from the city clerk, Mr. Rogers. He says, it's my understanding that after careful consideration, both Corporation Council and Code Enforcement are recommending that City Council not proceed with the legislation. Some of the proposal was not feasible from a legal standpoint due to state and federal law. Other portions include enforcement procedures that are already in place. Well, what I have to say to that is the enforcement procedures that are already in place are the reason why I'm actually trying to create a new protocol, because they don't work. And
Sir, your 5 minutes is up.
thank you.
And also, I forgot to ask you your address if you're a city resident.
I reside at 40 Jerome Avenue, and my business is at 165 Susquehanna Street.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else?
As of right now, we don't have any hands up. We do have one hand up. I'll allow them to speak now, and it's Tina Chronopoulos. Hi, please state your full name and address for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name is Tina Chronopoulos. I live on Laurel Avenue in Sophia Resiniti's district. All right, I'm starting the timer. Good evening. It's great to see some of you on screen. There are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. One of them is the pride flag that I saw flying outside City Hall on Saturday morning. And I was happy to see the flag flying, and also thought I'd share some thoughts with you about that. I'm not sure if you are aware that the original flag was created in 1978 as a symbol of hope and inclusion for queer folks. And the creator of this flag, Gilbert Baker, was always in favor of updating it. So several years ago, the city of Philadelphia introduced a new pride flag under the leadership of Amber Hines to include a brown and black stripe to make sure that Black and brown people were included in the message of the pride flag. And then a year later, under the leadership, or rather by the idea of Daniel Cassar, stripes of the transgender flag were included. So the flag that's currently flying outside City Hall is this updated flag. It has the original rainbow colors, it has a black and brown stripe, and it has the white, pink, and blue stripes of the transgender flag. So my problem with this is that the flag raising was changed at the last minute. My other problem is that the mayor of Binghamton participated in this flag raising. And again, while I don't really have a problem with allies, you should know that I'm queer. You've probably figured out I have trans people in my family. I have trans colleagues. I have trans students. I have huge respect and love for these folks. So my problem with the mayor participating is that the mayor is part of the Republican Party, which of course, you know, you can't say that every Republican is a terrible person, but if we look nationally at what's going on, you can see that the Republicans are busting their tails, absolutely busting their tails to roll back voting rights, make it real hard for Black people to vote. They're enacting anti-trans sports and healthcare bans all over because, you know, nothing else is more important than stopping trans people from participating in sports. You know, who cares about healthcare for all or social services for poor people? No, we got better things to do here, folks. So I find it kind of offensive and antithetical for a Republican to participate there. And not only that, we have actual clear examples of how in the city of Binghamton, you don't really value Black lives, you don't really value trans lives. Remember the quote unquote police reform that happened? There was powerful testimony from Bob Egan, who works at Identity, who suggested that the police department in Binghamton enact clear and actionable rules of conduct when it comes to dealing with trans individuals. The Syracuse Police Department has such rules of conduct in place. Nothing was done there. The mayor also didn't include anyone from the queer community to be on that actual collaborative. So another strike against you. And just in general, labeling people who are working towards police reform as anti-police hate groups is not a good look if you want to be a true ally to the queer community. Anyway, very quickly, I want to talk to you about what happened at the sewage board meeting yesterday. To all the Republicans out there,
You have 1 minute left.
Didn't see any of you attending. You weren't at the other 3 meetings that happened earlier. You know, given that you are claiming that you are very invested and interested in what happens at the sewage plant and that you support the workers there, nah, no good. I don't believe you for 1 second. Anyway, the weekly plant status is as follows. Actiflow, the system developed by Kruger and Veolia, is still not working. And guess what? At the bottom of this system, they found construction debris. They found 2x4s, they found ladders, and they found plywood, y'all. And remember, the staff at the plant were not involved in the construction. So this is a big issue. If you care about what happens at the plant, you should start attending these sewage board meetings. And I am outraged and angry that an ordinary person like me has to do your job for you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Lee?
No hands are raised at the moment.
Wait a little bit.
Okay, we do have 1 hand raised. It's Thomas Costello. I'll allow him to speak.
Thank you.
Tom, I think you have to unmute your microphone. And also, please let us know your full name and address for the record.
Yes, okay, yes. So it's Thomas Costello, 115 Laurel Avenue, Binghamton, New York, 30-year resident or more. Just a quick question. I just want to alert you to the fact that I'm really happy that the city's invested in the park at Recreation Park to build the tennis courts. They're doing a fabulous job, and I appreciate that. I would like to request some advocacy for improvements at the basketball courts. And Councilman Rezzaniti, I believe I've sent you some information about that. I think it's affordable. It's not really asking for a lot. I think we have to be open and honest about who uses the park and how they use it. As a 35-year resident of this neighborhood, I can tell you from firsthand experience, also as a city official, that it's a very diverse community that uses the park. And I think the city has made an effort, but I think, you know, we need to follow through on that. But one additional thing that I spoke to, communicated with Jared Cram about today is the sidewalk from the corner of Schubert on Laurel Avenue. So it would be the northwest corner of Schubert Street. There's a private residence across the street from the school, and the sidewalk is in terrible shape. And I just hope that we could find some funding to either do a 50-50 with the homeowner, who's an absentee landlord, I believe, or just replace it entirely for two reasons. One reason is that the amount of foot traffic on my street going to the park is enormous. The amount of foot traffic going to the school is enormous, and we want to be proud of the park. I know you as the council are proud of it, and the playground is beautiful. So why would we want this one little eyesore? It's not safe for wheelchairs. It's not safe for strollers. And we're talking about less than $3,000 to replace it. So I just wanted to share that with you and hope that you can help me out with that or help the neighborhood. Really, it's not my property, so I appreciate that. And thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't know how to exit from.
I don't know how to exit. How do I do this?
Anyone else, Lee?
Right now, no one else has their hand raised.
Okay, so if there are no other hands raised, I think we'll just go ahead and move along. Thank you to everyone who participated. So we do have one item tonight that needs referral to the Planning Commission. Councilman Strawn, can you please introduce that item?
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Madam President. You think I'd have that down by now. This is a seek and a referral to the Planning Commission. I make a motion to declare City Council as lead agency for a proposed zoning amendment to rezone the following parcels from R3 Residential Multi-Unit Dwelling District to C1 Service Commercial District. 20 Mendelson, map number 160.29-3-5, 22 Mendelson, 160.29-3-6, 28 Mendelson, 160.29-3-9.1, and a portion of 151 Laurel Ave, 160.29-3-2, and an inside lot, 160.29-3-9.2.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so the secret motion passes. Councilman Strong, please continue.
Thank you, Madam President. I make a motion to list this project as unlisted action under seeker.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, the secret motion passes. Councilman Strong, please continue.
Thank you, Madam President. Pursuant to City of Binghamton Code Section 410-103, referral to Planning Commission, make a motion to refer proposed zoning amendments to Chapter 410 zoning to the Planning Commission for a report on said amendments.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our preferred agenda for the night. Would anyone like to pull anything from the preferred agenda before we proceed? Councilwoman Freeman.
Yes, Madam President, I'd like to please pull, sorry, let me just check if it's a resolution or ordinance. Introductory resolution 21-41 from the preferred agenda, please. That's
Okay.
a resolution authorizing the mayor. Oh, okay, you got it. The CDBG piece of legislation.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Clerk, can you introduce the preferred agenda items, please?
Yes, okay. So the first item tonight on the preferred agenda is introductory ordinance 21-51, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance approving a transfer from Flood Mitigation Reserve Fund for restoration of the Shenango River Trail levee project.
Any comments? Okay, next.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 21-52, considered in finance. This is an ordinance to amend the 2021 finance budget for personal services, temporary services.
Any comments? Next.
Okay, next we have introductory resolution 21-40, considered in planning. And this is a resolution to amend existing contracts with Family Enrichment Network and the YWCA.
Any comments? Next.
Next, we have introductory resolution 21-42, considered in finance. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into supplemental agreement number 1 with Tetra Tech for the Binghamton Levee Study and Improvements Project.
Any comments? Next.
Okay, next. The last item is introductory resolution 21-43, considered in Public Works and Parks. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an equipment rental lease agreement with VGM Financial Services for golf carts and a club car carry-out vehicle.
Any comments?
Madam President, motion to approve the preferred agenda as amended.
Second.
Thank you. For roll call, please.
Okay. Councilman Scarnati,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strong,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Russell.
Aye. Lee, just so you know, we can barely hear you.
Well, that was 7 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have one item, in the non-preferred agenda, introductory resolution 21-41, considered in planning. Councilman Strong.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask council for unanimous consideration of introductory resolution 21-41, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into agreements with nonprofit agencies for use of fiscal year FY 46 CDBG funds for capital projects.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Councilwoman Friedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to state that I am employed by one of these nonprofit agencies, so I plan to abstain from this vote. Thanks.
Madam President,
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Scaringi.
point of order, Councilwoman Friedman is going to need, per our rules, a motion to allow the abstention. So I'll make a motion to allow Councilwoman Friedman to abstain from the following piece of legislation.
Second.
Any other comments?
President Resnetti, we actually need a roll call vote for that.
Okay, so roll call.
Or I guess we could do an all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So point of clarification, I'm assuming I do not vote on that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so roll call now?
Call the
Anyone-
question, Madam President.
I didn't hear you, Councilman Scaringi. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing everybody tonight.
No, that's okay. I apologize. I called the question.
Question be called. Roll call, please.
Okay. Councilman Scaringi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman abstains. Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Resnetti.
Aye.
One abstention, Friedman.
Lee, we can't hear you. It's not just me, is it?
No.
Okay. Can you say that again, Lee?
Yes, so the final total was 6 ayes and 1 abstention with Friedman.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Moving on to communication from our council members. Tonight we'll start with District 6, Councilman Strawn.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say, I wasn't going to say much tonight, but I just want to say that I couldn't agree any more than I wanted to with the first caller tonight. I've been working with the city and zoning and code on a bunch of stuff. And you know, I think we probably all agree on that. I'm not sure. I've talked to zoning a little bit. I think the pandemic's made it harder going all the way back to March for what I want to do to sit with code and zoning on some of the things. But I think we need to explore, is there any options we have? Is there any options we have with the city code or charters to give them more tools? And it's not just homeowners, it's other ancillary, spots. The city's doing a great job of their areas, but there's areas where you go from 6 to 4 across the bridge and the city's spots are mowed beautifully, and whether it's the state or somebody else's spots are completely ugly. But he's absolutely right. There's no reason. Some of these homes are really small lots, and the weeds are, the grass is up, waist high at this point. It's completely ridiculous. There has to be something that we can do to enforce these issues. And he's right. It's relatively simple. It's very low cost, and it is wasting a lot of time for our employees that apparently don't have a lot of teeth in what they can do, whether that means we mow them and we add them to their taxes or not. But I really would like to add this, at some point with the approval of President Resnetti at some point in the future to our work sessions, or some way we can talk about what's possible with these rules, especially garbage and lawn. It's completely ridiculous what on some of these spots. So I just want to say that, and it was a good segue for something I've been kind of dealing with personally over here and been on my mind for a while anyway. So I'm glad that he called in with that, and I hoping that's something we can do to do that in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Madam President. I share Councilman Strawn's view on things. Unfortunately, what I found out is a lot of it is driven by the state. A lot of the rules that code goes by are state issued rules, which is frustrating. But it seems like there's something we could do as, and I agree with Councilman Strawn again. It seems like something we do as a council that we can try to expedite these grasses being mowed and a lot of other code violations. But I've been frustrated by the fact a lot of it is driven by the state, unfortunately. So, Madam President, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Scaringi, you're next.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to, I want to echo Councilman Strawn and Councilman Scanlon. I think many of us know that a very good portion of the contacts that we get from our constituents are very heavily code elevated. We are very lucky. The code officers that we have in the city of Binghamton do a great job. I know in the first district on the phone and in communication with them and zoning on a very regular basis. They always follow up. They always get out there. But there are definitely those outlying properties where that occurs, and whatever we can do as a body to strengthen that up is a huge deal. And I also want to thank everyone's efforts on behalf of the Ely Park Golf Course. I'm hearing great things and positive things as we're moving into the golf season. And it's great to see the turnaround and the support that the golf course has received. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Riley, you're next.
Thank you, Council President. So as you guys know, here in the Roaring Third District, we had the move out period. And during move out, I received a lot of cold calls, calls about the trash. And so I stand in agreement with you. The problem is, even working with code, is that they rely heavily upon the owners to enforce and uphold. And yes, there are things we together can do to kind of support them and support some of the concerns. Again, I get overwhelmed with the number of emails about the issues of trash and lawns and things. But I do my best. And again, I forward everything to code, and I know they're tired of my emails as well. But again, together we can work. And I'm glad we're willing to move forward to talk about the look, the feel of the various districts. Unfortunately, I did not receive the legislation the gentleman spoke of. So if it was only shared with some, please forward it so that I can review it. I'm not sure who actually obtained it. There may be something we can use to craft legislation to support all districts. So I look forward to receiving such. I also want to highlight, we're moving into graduation season, prom season. The barbecue was last week. So shout out to our students who have endured another pandemic-filled school year, pandemic-impacted school year. And just kudos as we move forward safely into this summer. And look out for the new drivers on the road, you guys. Yay. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Friedman, you're up.
Thanks, Madam President. Yeah, so far I agree with what everyone has said so far with regard to the frustrations with consistent code calls, and code does, again, the code officer in my district also does a great job being responsive. I hope that we can maybe move forward with this, maybe with a little creativity. What I mean by that is a lot of what code does is by design reactionary, where there's an issue and then someone calls and then they address the issue. And I wonder if we couldn't figure out a way to prevent those issues from being there in the first place. And I know that sounds kind of obvious, but I wonder if we could come up with some sort of creative incentive somehow to make it so that it's enticing for these otherwise absentee landlords to take care of their properties. So this seems like something that we all feel passionately about rallying around. And so, I definitely would want to, move forward in some capacity. I don't know quite what that would look like. But this seems to be something that people, the code department is frustrated with, and constituents are frustrated with, and council representatives are frustrated with. So this could be a big, potentially a project that could save a lot of grief and strife going forward. I wanted to shout out the Parks Department, because when I went to vote in the school board election, one of the people who was working there overheard that I was the council representative, and they said to me, "Oh, you're my council representative. Do you think you can get this branch cut down from this tree?" And I said, "Yes, of course. Let me see what I can do." So I sent an email to Parks, and they cut the branch down right away. And then the constituent actually emailed me to say thank you. So I, of course, forwarded that to the Parks Department as well. So it's just so nice when City Hall runs like a well-oiled machine, and problems get taken care of right away, and everyone is happy. I lastly want to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. This is a month that is particularly important to me as a member of the LGBT community. And it is in some ways remarkable how far we've come, how now there's, at the big city Pride events, there are corporate sponsors, which people who were kind of underground in the 40s and 30s and the early 20th century probably would never in their wildest dreams think that corporations would view gay people as a significant customer block. So in that sense, it's really an amazing thing that has happened so far. But we still have a lot left to go in terms of access to healthcare, housing, social acceptance, all of those kinds of things that lead to unfortunately poor, health and life outcomes for people in the LGBT community. So it's not all despair. There are some things that we can look back and say, wow, we've come a far way. So happy Pride Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Burns.
Thank you, Madam President. I will echo about the long grass and code and all of that. Last summer, the Parks Department was busy building over at Rec Park and the pandemic and all. And I had a couple of properties that took a very long time to get cut. So right now there's two that I'm on, and just the whole process of, okay, you let code know, then it goes to code, and then they send somebody out, and they try to get a hold of the owner. If the owner doesn't respond within a certain amount of time, then they send it to Parks. And then Parks has, it's not top on their priority. They have things that were there before yours got there. So yeah, I think it would be a great discussion, Phil, at a work session to talk about how we can speed that process up. If, we hire a lot of people in the Parks Department in the summer. Let's hire, 2 more college kids with lawnmowers and just have them doing it. And if the property is empty, just mow the darn thing. I almost went over and mowed it myself, but anyway. And the other concern that people already have, because we've had it over here already before the 4th of July, is the fireworks. It was last year. It was awful. It was awful. Everybody with a child and a dog suffered the whole summer. So I don't know what we can do about that, but I would like to talk about that at a work session too. But what can the city do about this? Anyway, that's about me. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to repeat what everybody else said, obviously. I too feel very strongly about, supporting code and making sure we do whatever we can to make sure that we just support them in what it is that we're doing. So I think we absolutely need to have a continued conversation about this. I do want to make a quick note. We will be continuing our cleanups in the West Side, District 2. There was a small change with one of the dates. Everything is on the Facebook page. So I just wanted to bring that up to folks. And with that, everybody have a good night. Thanks to the callers. Thanks to all of you being here tonight. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. With that, we will adjourn. Have a good night.